According to Forbes, 77% of buyers are more likely to buy from a company whose CEO is active on social media. Faces are the new logos on social media. And the days of aesthetic Instagram feeds, tons of infographics, and pretty product photos are officially over. Sorry to say. Which is one of the many reasons you see this face all over YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and now recently LinkedIn. Hello, my name is Nyla. I'm a top rated plus social media marketer on Upwork with a 100% job success score. And I help small business owners and entrepreneurs grow and monetize themselves on social media. And in this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to build a very strong and powerful personal brand. Honestly, your personal brand is just another way of saying what your reputation is online. So how exactly do others perceive you and what are their opinions of you? And your job as the personal brand owner is to make sure that they perceive you exactly how you want to be perceived. And you do this by presenting certain values, certain expertise and personality traits across all of your content. And you want to do this in a very seamless way where it doesn't look like you're trying too hard to do those things. Because that will honestly just come across as disingenuous and fake, and we don't want fake. Having a strong personal brand is super important if you want to grow fast on social media. Audiences nowadays would much rather consume content from CEOs and brand owners rather than viewing the content from the company or the brand itself. I mean, look at some of the biggest brands on social media right now. Huda Beauty is just known as Huda's brand, and Huda is one of the reasons the brand has done so well. Kayali, the perfume brand, is known as Mona's brand, and again, she's used her personal brand to leverage her business. Feastables is known to belong to Mr. Beast, and the only reason Feastables is so successful is because it's got that connection to Mr. Beast. These public figures have built their companies off the backs of their personal brand because it's the quickest way to get noticed. So let's get into the different ways that you can build a strong personal brand on social media. The first thing you want to do is have an origin story, because every superhero needs an origin story. And what that basically is a narrative that outlines your journey and the motivations that led to the creation of your personal brand. Your origin story is going to be the heart and soul of your brand. It's going to be the reason that it exists. It's to get to the roots of who you were, who you are now, and who you want to become in the future. And you want to share this story across all of your social media platforms. Having an origin story will give you that main character energy, and it will humanize your brand and make it more relatable. For example, my origin story is that I got into social media marketing because of my younger brother who has cerebral palsy, who wanted to start a YouTube channel. I wanted to help him fulfill his dreams, so I learned how to navigate social media, video editing, TikTok, Instagram, in order to help him grow and to help him see success. And then from there on, I fell into the world of social media marketing. I immediately fell in love with it and I built my career off it. This origin story humanizes my brand and gives it purpose. It gives my audience more of a reason to support me and to cheer me on, because there's that emotional aspect behind it. Another great example of someone who really pushes out their origin story is Iman Gadzi. He constantly shares his origin story in his content, where he came from a single parent home, grew up with his mom. He grew up with no money, he struggled with poverty, and had a dream to retire his mom and give her a life of freedom. And now that he's made it, he's constantly resharing and reinforcing his origin story and how he went from point A to point B. And he constantly shares how now that he's in point B, he's making his mom's life better and better. He does this through his videos where he constantly talks about what his life was like before. And he does this on his Instagram stories where he shares videos of him spoiling his mom and buying things that she never got to have in her life. This allows his audience to feel like they can relate to him, they can trust him, and it gives them a much stronger reason to follow him, support him, and to cheer him on. So I want you to think about what your origins are. What motivated you to start your brand? How have you gone from point A to point B, and how are you trying to get to point C? When you do figure it out, I want you to write all of this down and think of different ways you can drop hints of that and little sections of that story across all of your content. And number two is you want to share your values. And by sharing your values, I don't mean sit there and tell your audience what your values are. A lot of people get this completely wrong. Values are shown and felt through your actions. So instead of telling, you need to show. and this is how. Your values are basically your core principles that guide how you present yourself on social media. Showing these consistently across your content makes your audience feel like they can trust you, and they start to build an emotional connection with you. And eventually they'll feel like they know you on a more personal level. For example, for me, I want to be known as helpful, transparent, and fun. Those are my core values. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm super helpful, I'm super transparent, and I like to make you laugh. Instead, I'm going to show that through my content without ever saying it. I show that I'm helpful through giving you guys so much educational content and free value across Instagram and YouTube. So I make educational videos here on YouTube, and I also do the same thing on Instagram. I also try to show that I'm helpful by answering DMs and replying to comments whenever you guys have questions that you want answering. It's super important to me that you as my audience feel like I'm beneficial to you and I'm helpful to you. Secondly, I try my best to be transparent by allowing my audience to get a deeper insight into my processes. I show my audience how I run my business. I even show my audience how much money I'm making off certain things. And sometimes I even give my audience snippets of my personal life. For example, I'm currently pregnant, and I've been sharing on my Instagram stories the struggles I've been facing during my pregnancy and trying to run my business alongside that. Transparency is a key aspect of building a brand, and it's super important if you want to truly connect to your audience and make them become your biggest cheerleaders. And at the end of the day, people are nosy and they love it when you dig deep into exactly how you run things. It also makes them feel like they can trust you because you're being an open book and you're showing that you have nothing to hide. Lastly, I want to be fun. I want my audience to feel entertained when they watch my content. I want them to be able to binge through my content and not feel like I'm constantly just sharing boring advice and education. I want them to think of me as a light-hearted and easygoing person. I show this by getting involved in some of the fun trends. I make silly videos from time to time, and I like to also be a bit outrageous and controversial in my content. Like one of the videos I did recently where I shared that my husband is looking for a second wife. Obviously he's not, I just like to be outrageous, and I thought it was quite comical. I want my audience to feel like they can come to my page and just binge. I want my audience to feel like content creation and running a business doesn't have to be super hard or boring or corporate. We like to have a laugh too. So what I want you to do is pick 3 values of your own and try to represent at least one of those values in every single piece of your content. Let me know what your values are as well. I'd love to know. Share them with me in the comments below. Step 3 of building your personal brand on social media is finding your aesthetic. Now, yes, whilst I have mentioned that Instagram is no longer about having a super aesthetic Instagram feed, you as a brand owner, as a personal brand owner, should have your own aesthetic. There should be a vibe to your content that your audience can feel straight away when they watch it. Now, what I mean by this is if your audience were to scroll on your feed and they were to view your entire feed from a bird's eye view, how would your feed make them feel? At the end of the day, you need to think of your personal brand like a physical store because it is your business. And if it was a physical store, you would be thinking of things like the interior design of your store, the lighting in your store, the color themes that you're going to use in your store, the ambience, the mood, the type of music you're going to play. And you really need to be thinking of similar things like that when building your personal brand, because a certain vibe will attract a certain audience. You want your audience to feel a certain way when they come to watch your content. To find your aesthetic, you need to think about the visuals in your content, how you dress in your content, the environment around you, how you speak, so the tone of your voice in your videos, the lighting, the editing style you're going to use, and even the sounds or music that you use. For me, I like to think that my aesthetic is minimal and clean, put together, but I still want to be cozy and inviting. And I do this by ensuring things like the captions in my videos on Instagram are super clean and minimal, not overdone and not overly animated. I like the backgrounds of my videos to be neat, tidy, and cozy. As you can see, I have like a cafe screen behind me, a cozy bookshop cafe screen behind me. You'll see a lot of warm lighting and you'll see a lot of plants in the background to my videos instead of me sitting in my office. And that's done with intention. I also like to sit on the floor in a lot of my videos. I feel like it makes my content feel a lot more laid back and inviting. I want to be approachable in my content, almost as if we're just sitting and chilling and having a chat. I also don't talk super loud or have that crazy, bouncy, bubbly personality that a lot of creators on social media do have. I keep it a bit more mellow and chill, but I still want to be inviting and warm. A great way to find your vibe and your aesthetic is to watch a ton of other creators and really analyze those things that make you feel a certain way about their content. Like when you watch their content, do you feel relaxed? When you watch their content, do you feel energized and motivated? Screenshot or note down those things and start to build up a vision board of what things made you feel a certain way and add it to a vision board. If you want your audience members to feel that same way, then maybe you can replicate that same vibe or aesthetic. Although finding a vibe is really important, it's also super important that that vibe does reflect your true personality as well, because it will start to get really difficult if you're faking it. For example, I'm not a super loud, bubbly, and energetic person. So I know if I tried to fake it and be that, it would just be incredibly draining for me and I wouldn't be able to keep it up throughout all of my content. So there's no point of being super energetic or loud as a creator when naturally you're a very calm, quiet, and collected person. Stay true to yourself and who you are to avoid burnout and just to make your content feel more authentic to you. You want your content creator journey to be enjoyable for you. You don't want to feel like you're having to put a mask on every single time. And at the end of the day, I don't want you to stress too much about how to present yourself as a content creator or business owner trying to build a personal brand, because you can always give your brand a makeover later on. Just like how you can renovate your shop, you can renovate your personal brand too. Just go with what feels right for you now, and then you can always come back and readjust it later if you feel like you want to change things up. I'd actually personally love to know what you think of my personal brand. I would really appreciate it if you could give me 3 words that come to mind when you watch my content around my vibe and aesthetic. So if you could share that in the comments below, then I'd really appreciate that. And then I'll also know that you made it all the way to the end of this video. And if you did like this video, you might like this video where I did a 10K Q&A where I dug deeper into a lot more personal and business related things around my business and my life. And I answered some of your guys' most asked questions. But before you click off onto that video, don't forget to like this video first, as it really does help with the growth of my channel. And with that, I will see you next week if you're subscribed.